Welcome to Miss Connect M3 Fortnite podcast, recorded on 27th of December 2024. I'm Helen King, and my fortnight today is titled, Why Make a Drama Out of It? Strapline is, doesn't a made-up drama help us make sense of our world? Christmas is a great time to watch a few films and read a book maybe. One question I'd like to ponder on in this fortnight is, can watching, reflecting on and discussing films be a good way to explore issues? Drama films and fiction stories are seen by many as mere entertainment, a way to pass the time, a bit of escapism, or a short break from reality of our own lives. I disagree. To my mind, inhabiting or at least observing a different reality in the form of a fictional story can make it easier to look at subjects in a fresh way and to see those matters in a new light. The film V for Vendetta is my starting point for exploring this question. This is a fascinating, exciting and highly watchable film despite being almost 20 years old, made as it was in 2005. The film is set in a dystopian near-future Britain but is ruled by a fascist totalitarian regime. The people are controlled through propaganda and fear, with undesirables being imprisoned or executed. Undesirable people include homosexuals, non-white people, and people who hold faiths including Islam. There's no justice anymore. It's a case of just us. The leader of the regime, which is called Northfire and is supposedly a political party, is the High Chancellor, a man called Adam Sutler. Adam appears everywhere pretty much. On placards in the street, pictures in people's homes, an enormous screen when he holds meetings with the heads of the various departments of his regime. The irony that Adam is played by John Hurt, the same actor who played the opposite character in effect in the film 1984, Winston Smith, is delicious, I have to say. The film centres on a character simply called V, as in the title, who is a man on a mission to... But wait, I'm not going to give any plot spoilers. You'll have to watch it to find out. V can be viewed in different ways. The question is he an anarchist, a terrorist, or could he be seen as a freedom fighter, fighting back against this oppressive and dystopian regime? In other words, is V a hero or a villain? It's not a plot spoiler to say that V, who wears a mask throughout, carries out actions that can fairly be defined as acts of terrorism. He destroys public buildings. He terrorises people in the sense that he controls them using fear. He kills people. He's a cold-blooded murderer. But this is where things get interesting. Firstly, there's no legal or scientific consensus on the definition of terrorism. Strange, but true. That bastion of truth, Wikipedia, being, as it is now, a great source of what we're supposed to believe, says so. Here's a quote. Various legal systems and government agencies use different definitions of terrorism, and governments have been reluctant to formulate an agreed-upon, legally binding definition. Fascinating that, isn't it? The Wikipedia article goes on to say terrorism is about power. Secondly, V operates in a world in which terror, inflicted by the government, is the established modus operandi. In the world of a film, public buildings, such as those V destroys, are not being used for the good of the public or for their intended purpose. All the people who V terrorises and murders have themselves committed heinous acts against innocent people and, albeit not in all cases, are still doing so on a daily basis. V does not murder or harm innocent people, just those who are the opposite. V is thus preventing people from terrorising and killing other people by executing them. So, it seems to me to call V a terrorist is a tricky argument to prove. To put it mildly, it's going to come unstuck almost at once. V is carrying out a role that's not being carried out by the justice system. By killing criminals, he's preventing further crimes being committed. We could ask, why wouldn't the government award him a knighthood? Oh, that's right, because it's the government. But as I said, no plots are going to be spoiled and we're writing this fortnight. I don't think it'd be at all easy to discuss the question, what is a terrorist or what is terrorism, from a real-life perspective. There are far too many viewpoints and far too many conflicting narratives. There's a tendency to see a terrorist as someone who threatens us personally, our values, or even merely our beliefs. There's also the narrative that terrorism is whatever who's in charge says it is. In the case of a regime that rules with a rod of terror, as in this film, the definition of terrorism becomes interesting, to say the least. In real life, this definition of terrorism, being whatever who's in charge says that it is, has now become a serious issue. Many people see Luigi Mangione as a hero for murdering the CEO of a US healthcare company. That CEO, Brian Thompson, was himself responsible for a lot of death and suffering due to his company's denial of insurance claims to pay for healthcare. This highly divisive issue was the subject of one of my recent thought bites. To some, Luigi has similarities to our character V. Both have killed people who have themselves caused the deaths of others. But in the case of a healthcare insurance company, what it does in denying claims is entirely legal. What shocks me is that Luigi has been accused of carrying out acts of terrorism, which is absurd, on the face of it at least. At worst, surely, it's just, in legal terms, murder. What defines Luigi, the murder of one person, as a terrorist? Brian was responsible for the deaths of many people. Was he not a terrorist? We're being told that other healthcare CEOs are afraid, in case they get murdered too, like Brian. And given the take on American healthcare insurance companies, the documentary maker Michael Moore explained, these CEOs might well be afraid. And then I ask, what about the people who have their healthcare claims denied? Are they not terrorised? Is there a difference, I wonder? Brian killed people who weren't members of the establishment, while Luigi killed a member of the establishment. V for Vendetta is one film that makes debating matters such as this, or even just considering them, a lot easier. I think this drama, a fictional story, can assist us in asking deep questions about right and wrong, justice and injustice, and other key subjects. I think it can also help us find possible answers to these questions. And we really do need to ask these questions and begin to find answers. There are so many films that are made-up stories, so many novels and indeed short stories, not to mention stage plays and even musicals, but ask the question, what if? Here I've only referred to one film, which I can highly recommend watching. For me, what if is a wonderful question. As it said in the film, art is alive and makes it possible for us to recognise the truth. And with that in mind, I'm wondering, what are your thoughts? Thank you for listening to this Thought Bite today. I hope it's given you food for thought, and perhaps some ideas as well, for films to watch or stories to read that can start some fascinating conversations. For further information on this and other related subjects, do check out the PDF version of this Thought Bite reference, TB-4525A. It contains links to supporting articles, plus links to many other enlightening and fascinating articles on a variety of topics. Meanwhile, I look forward to sharing my next Thought Bite with you very soon. Goodbye.